I can't help but notice more national, I would say, but a lot of criticism of Kliff Kingsbury's play calling through 2 preseason games, and particularly for Jaden Daniels, with most everything coming at the line of scrimmage, and the suggestion that this is a future harbinger of trouble. As a stats guy, as an analytics guy, what's your reaction?
Yeah, so I've seen it also. Essentially what they're saying is that the depth of target for Terry McLaurin in particular on the left side has not been very high. And they're worried that his usage is going to not be in line with what we've seen before, being a threat down the field. And the example that they're using is DeAndre Hopkins' time in Arizona. He was kind of given a similar treatment based on what we're seeing right now. It's preseason, so who knows what exactly the offense is going to look like. But that's the concern between a lot of people that study film and also look at things analytically, is that are we going to see a Terry McLaurin down the field, or is he going to be mostly screen type stuff, which doesn't really get a lot of yards downfield? So we're gonna have to wait and see.
Could it, like, I'm looking at them and they're talking about the number 2 receiver, and I think they wanted to see a lot of those other guys. Could it be that where, like, when people don't run a lot of their offense, that they like, okay, we know Terry can go down the field, do whatever. Let's put the other guys in that situation. And what you're seeing now is not what you're going to see later.
Sure. And I don't get too bogged down into the preseason stuff, especially when you have all these new moving parts that Washington does. It's also possible that they want to give Jaden a dependable receiver to start to run through these type of plays with. These plays may be in the playbook, but it may not be Terry McLaurin the one that's executing them. But they want to get Jaden comfortable with it, and they don't want to see, a tire fire on that, when they're running those type of plays to give them a little bit of confidence. So I'm not really sure. I mean, there's a lot of things that can happen. You'd like to think that the guys that run the offense know what they have in McLaurin, and there's certainly enough tape to know how he can be successful. So to sort of neuter him, so to speak, right at the get-go doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. But again, this is installing a new everything from top to bottom. Mm-hmm. So everyone's probably just trying to get comfortable with what they have and to see what they have.
I tend to agree with you there. And I think, in a lot of ways, I think it's hard for me to explain this. People seem to forget that Jaden Daniels likes to push it vertically. And we saw it in the first preseason game that he checked to his guy on the outside with a one-on-one and dropped it in the bucket. Like, the play calls may be at near the line of scrimmage, but that doesn't mean that's the only thing that's going to happen.
Totally.
And what I can tell you is, being out here and watching practice after practice after practice, there's a vertical attack. People are worried that he doesn't throw the ball over the middle of the field. He does. I've seen it. I tend to think, and I appreciate, Greenberg, that you say I try not to read too much into preseason stuff, because I just don't think we're seeing the full picture.
Yeah, and we just don't know what it's going to look like. And, they may say to themselves, okay, Jaden to Terry downfield, we know is going to work, right? Mm-hmm. So why are we wasting time putting a lot of energy in practicing that when we could start developing other parts of the playbook, or see what else Jaden needs to develop? I mean, that's certainly possible. And, looking at it too, with like how we look at draft day, you don't want to show the whole NFL what you're going to do, especially with a new quarterback who has to learn a lot more. The speed of the game is going to be a lot faster. The impact of the game physically is going to be a lot harder. So, you want to put him in a position to succeed as well. If they're tipping their hand this early and everyone is looking at the league, everyone around the league is looking at it and saying, oh, So that's how they're going to use Terry. Okay, then we'll just adjust accordingly. Like, that doesn't seem to be a very smart thing to do, and I do believe that they have smart people in this organization. So trust nothing. Just let's just wait. I mean, no one knows what this team is going to look like. There's too many new things. Like, nobody knows. I see so many forecasts out there, like, Commanders are going to have the lowest win total. Okay, I mean, you're basing it on stuff
We're
that
actually
really
going to talk
has
to that dude later today.
Little relevancy here, because you can't tell me you can correctly model a new owner, new GM, new draft picks, new quarterback, new offensive guys, new head coach. Like, you cannot tell me that you can model that with any certainty. So the error bars on Washington's win total are so large that we really don't know how good or underwhelming this team is going to be yet.
But when you and this is the thing, and your statement earlier about you don't put that much into preseason. When most teams don't run what they're going to run during regular season, and then you trying to project that, how does that even? Because analytics, yeah, I understand it's a major part of what the sport is, and everything counts. Not just one thing is the end all be all, but if you put your analytics works based off of the information you put in. So if you're not putting in the right information, you come up with an answer, but the answer may not be right.
Correct. It's garbage in, garbage out, and you also have to know what you don't know. Like, that's the part that these win simulators are getting incorrect. There has to be a fudge factor, but again, you don't know what that fudge factor is. Like, I have no idea how to model a number 2 draft pick like Jaden Daniels with all the parts that he has around him on offense in his first year in the league. Like, it's just, we're all making educated guesses. But when you make these guesses, when you say Washington is a 5-win team or projected to be a 5-win team, what you really need to follow up with that is, but it could be anywhere from 0 to 11 wins, which doesn't help anybody. Like, that doesn't help anybody, but that's what you need to do. Like, I don't have any certainty that Washington's going to win 5 games. I do know that they're going to have a really big spread, but that doesn't help anybody because the spread is so large, it's laughable. And for me to say, well, they're going to win 0 to 17 games doesn't do anybody any good.
Well said, brother. Everybody, we are talking with our friend Neil Greenberg on the BetQL guest line. You can follow him at @ngreenberg. I want to be sure I'm quoting this right because I'm about to tweet it. It's garbage in, garbage out. You have to know what you don't know, and that's what these win projections miss. I have no idea how to model Jaden Daniels in his first year in a new offense with a new coach, new owner. Is that accurate?
Send it. Ship it. Send it out to the world and let them say it to my face that I'm wrong.
All right. Well, I will speak on behalf of Richmond John, who's a lunatic that listens to the show.
He will say it to my face.
Well, he is a lunatic.
All right. Richmond John says analytics dudes have always hated Jaden Daniels, but somehow love Drake May's projections. That to me feels fairly accurate. I need you to tell me why.
It's because of what the certainty is. Like, they, again, if you put, for example, let's say Patrick Mahomes didn't exist, but all the other parts around him existed, and all you did was just plop a number 2 quarterback into the mix, right? Like, you could be a lot more certain what that season is going to look like than you could if you were looking at, the Washington Generals that don't exist, that have a veteran wide receiver, a new offensive line, a new coach, a new offensive coordinator. Like, there's errors that compound, and they're not necessarily additive. They multiply, right? Like a new offensive line with a new quarterback is not like just 2 things that you add together. It compounds because it can go really, really wrong if that offensive line doesn't protect the quarterback and then the quarterback is making misreads, et cetera. So we have to know the limits. And I'm an analytics guy. Like, I push the limits, but I also try to make sure everyone is clear that when I say like something has a 30% chance, like, here's also what can go right or what can go wrong that can influence that. And it's just a guess. And we will never know if my 30% is right or wrong right? Because it's only going to be binary afterward. We'll only know afterward. But it's very important that we explain what we know and what we don't know and what isn't being factored in on these projections.
But and listen, Neil, I'm gonna say out of all the analytics people I've heard talk, you give more because you don't talk as if everything is so perfect and it's guaranteed.
He's never condescending.
The other folks act as if what they say is the Bible, and I'm gonna be honest with you. I follow a lot of them, and what they say is completely damn wrong. But they don't come back and say anything. They move on to the next.
Right. That's the thing. Like, it's okay. I'm okay with being wrong. Like, I am very, very okay with being wrong because I can make the model better the next time. Like, I can take other things into account, and if I give something a 30% chance and it works out, that doesn't mean like I'm high-fiving myself. Like, it had more of a chance not to work out than it did. There's a luck factor in there too, right? And we just, with the analytics, and that goes for, going for it on fourth down, kicking a field goal versus going for two. Like, there are so many other things than just saying, well, the model says you're, X% chance to go. Because as a coach, like, your players too, right? Like, there's so much fuzziness that goes into it. Like Clausewitz called it the fog of war, that you don't really know how it's going to relate. And as a coach, like, I'm just going to give like an absurd example. Like, if you're a coach and you're looking at your quarterback and he's got to make like, a 4th and 1 conversion, but like his girlfriend just broke up with him and his dog is in the hospital and like there's all these other things happening, like, that's going to influence your decision, and it should, because you may not have your guy's 100% ability at that given moment. And that's something that you can't take that into account unless you're a coach. And that's where like gut feel and all that other stuff come into play. Yeah. I just don't think that you eliminate one part that could be influencing at the expense of, well, the numbers say to go for it, so we just have to go for it.